A very warm welcome to you, and thank you so much for joining our Homeopathy 24/7 podcast. We are going to be speaking to an array of international guests who will share their knowledge and experiences of homeopathy with you. We will discuss all types of subjects such as remedies, symptoms, and stories of health. No matter where you are with your homeopathic journey, we aim to inspire you on your quest to natural health and living. The podcast is brought to you by Greensmith, the founder of Homeopathy 24/7, which is a global platform connecting you with a homeopath wherever you are in the world, 24 hours a day. So let's get started with today's chat. Please welcome Mary Greensmith.
Sydommne, it's so lovely to see you. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. Nice to see you too.
Let's talk about homeopathy. What shall we discuss today?
Well, I thought I would like to talk about Natrum Muriaticum, Natmur, common salt, because it's such a wonderful remedy in so many different circumstances and for so many different people. And we have a stereotype of it, but you don't have to fit that stereotype to benefit from Natmur.
You're absolutely right. It's such a huge remedy, isn't it? And I think a lot of homeopaths just love this remedy because it is so diverse.
It is. I mean, I've found that it can help people from, I'll give you a couple of examples. A lady I saw many, many years ago who'd had a head injury years before. And the result was her life was completely ruined. She'd lost her job, she'd lost her relationship, she'd lost her home. And she was trying to rebuild her life gradually. And she'd got as far as doing a degree course, which was great, except that her memory was really, really bad because of the head injury. And she couldn't remember stuff. So she was really, really worried about her exams because she'd had trouble, all the way through this course. And I gave her Natmur, and a few months later, she passed those exams with flying colours. She really got her mojo back. And, instead of being like miserable and frustrated and still regretting what had happened and how it had affected her, she was able to, put her life back together and went off to happily start a new life.
What amazing story.
Yeah.
And it just shows you, doesn't it, that quite often healing is just about releasing, letting stuff go.
Yeah. And that was where that Natmur theme was for her, because obviously it's quite a big remedy in head injury, particularly with memory loss. But for her, that there was this whole big strong thread going back to the accident and regretting what she'd lost, which of course is a massive, massive theme in Natmur. And she was able to let that go, as you say, and move on. And I think that's the great strength of that remedy.
Yes, yeah. Quite often we're saying to people, aren't we, well, what actually needs to be healed here? What is that symptom showing you? And what is it that we need to address? And I think Natmur is such a good example of it is something that you're holding on to. And you can't let it go. You've kind of built a wall around it and you're holding it.
Yeah. And it occupies you because it's there right with you. You're holding it in your heart, that grief, that regret, that longing for what might have been. And so it's constantly right in front of you and it becomes an obstacle. And
yes, an obstacle. Yeah, and an obstacle to be healthy effectively, isn't it? It's stopping you move on. It's stopping you let your body do what it's meant to do. And unless you have something that changes that state of affairs, it's going to carry on for years and years and years.
Yeah, because the energy is just blocked.
Yeah.
Your mental, emotional, spiritual energy, as well as your physical energy, is just blocked by whatever it is that you're holding on to. And the wonderful thing about homeopathy that I love every day is we don't even have to know what that is.
No.
The person doesn't even have to know what that is.
No.
I've got a great case there of a lady that I saw again many, many years ago,
Okay.
who had a mystery illness, and her doctors didn't know what it was. She didn't know what it was, but instead of being lively and active as she always had been, she was more or less confined to bed. She couldn't do anything. She was just stuck. And somebody brought her to see me, and I gave her Natmur because that matched everything. I don't know what was wrong with her. I don't even know, what her deep, long emotional history was. And to be honest, at this today, I can't remember the details of her story, but it matched Natmur, so I gave her Natmur. And a month later, she came in. This was in the East End of London. She came in with 3 burly characters. I was a bit alarmed. I thought, oh my goodness, they've come to beat me up because she's not better.
Yes. Yeah, scary.
It was a bit scary, yeah. But actually, what she said was, I brought these people to see you because I want them to see the miracle worker. Isn't that wonderful? Wow. And she was well.
Really, it had just moved her from one stage onto a new groove.
Yeah, and she'd got her life back, and she was able to go out and about and do everything that she wanted to do. And like I say, I didn't need to know what was wrong with her. What I needed to be able to do was build a picture of her at the time and match a remedy to it, and that remedy was Natmur.
Yeah, amazing. And it was the Natmur that was the miracle worker.
Absolutely, not me.
Just incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
How we can just have the remedy can have such a profound effect on the whole aspect of your life, not just that physical symptom.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a holistic medicine in the truest sense. It really is. And sometimes people want to bring us, physical symptoms, one or more, and have a remedy for that symptom. And I find myself saying, we might be looking at remedies with that symptom in their picture, but it's not a remedy for something.
No, you're right.
It's a remedy that has a picture that matches your picture.
Yes.
And that's why we need to go into more detail and have full consultations.
And of course, so many physical symptoms are the body showing us that something else needs to change. And it might not be what we think it is because of the symptom. I had a very interesting case. A gentleman, and he just started getting really, really bad eczema on his hands, on the backs of the hands, on the front, everywhere on his hands, completely covered, and it was really, really affecting him. And soon worked out that actually, since his wife had become ill, he had been doing lots of cleaning and washing and things. So obviously you're thinking, okay, this is a symptom from a product that you're using and your body doesn't like it, and what's happening there. But actually we realized that it was actually his loss of his relationship with his wife as she was that was the issue, nothing environmental, none of the things that he was using. And although his wife was still with him, she had Alzheimer's, and their relationship had very much changed. And he was grieving the previous relationship, his wife as it had been, And again, 1 dose of Nat Mure, and his eczema cleared up. It was
Wonderful.
absolutely incredible. It was just beautiful. And it allowed him to move into the relationship as it was now and remember those good times as good times and as his wife. So, yeah, lovely, lovely story.
Yeah. Yeah. It really does feel like magic, doesn't it, when that happens?
Doesn't it?
But it's just about the acknowledgement, isn't it? But the acknowledgement by, this is how I think of it, the acknowledgement by the remedy of the state of the person, of the person's picture. It's like holding up a mirror, you know,
yes,
so the body can go, ah, I see. This is what I need to do.
And quite often it's really lovely, isn't it, to be able to read a passage out of a Materia Medica to a client and say, what do you think when you read this? And their astonishment.
Yeah, yeah.
The actual words that they use.
Yeah, when we see ourselves. And certainly, you know, as students, we would see ourselves in the remedies. Indeed. Quite often. Yeah. And say, oh, I need that remedy, I need that remedy. But of course they overlap. So you might be seeing aspects of yourself in one remedy, but actually it's another one that is your matching remedy.
Yes.
There might be overlap.
And I think this is our problem, isn't it? When we try and simplify it and make it easier for people to learn, we just take extracts of the remedies. And perhaps we're then losing out on the full picture because, you know, we keep going back to the same books and the same remedies. And each time we read about it, we read something new about it, don't we? We never stop learning about even the most basic, most used remedies. It's really, really easy to be finding new, interesting information about that remedy.
That is so true, because we might concentrate on one aspect. So with Nat Mure, you know, I have always tended to focus on the emotional aspects, because when that matches, everything will clear. But then if I start looking at it from another angle, you know, like particular physical symptoms, for example, I'll find out a whole lot more about it that I didn't, you know, wasn't necessarily aware of in that way, but is connected.
Yes.
So for example, looking at it from the point of view of teeth, in the teeth group, you can see that, of course, the mouth is a complete expressor or non-expressor of what we're feeling. You know, so emotional symptoms are going to show in the mouth. So with Nat Mure, with ailments from unexpressed emotions being such a you know, a big symptom for the remedy, things aren't coming out through the mouth. So you get mouth symptoms because they're not speaking about it. They're holding on to stuff. So you get the swollen gums and tooth pain, and you know, all those. It's like a microcosm of the remedy in the mouth, and you can see that in all sorts of remedies. That if you look at one aspect, it will express the center of the remedy through that aspect of the body, or whatever it is, in the same way. It was so interesting.
We just never stop learning, do we?
No.
Another aspect I love about Nat Mure, and the one when you read it, you know, you never forget it, is the dreams about robbers.
Oh yeah.
And it's got some really interesting dreams coming up with Nat Mure. And another one I found recently was dreaming about a dangerous sail in a small boat. And I thought, you know, again, Nat Mure does have a lot of references to the sea, doesn't it? And certainly better for being by the sea. and aspects like that, that just when you hear something the patient says, you immediately think, oh, that's got some Nat Mure in it.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Because it is salt. So,
yeah,
the sea. And when I was a student, somebody suggested that the reason that there is so much Nat Mure given in Britain is because we are a small island surrounded by a salty sea.
Oh, there's a good point.
We get melancholy.
Yes, absolutely we do. Another one of the dreams that comes up for Nat Mure is dreams of being thirsty. And of course, that makes sense with the salt as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it is a very thirsty remedy. Yeah. Yeah. And it holds on to water like it holds on to everything else. You get water in the wrong place, you get edema in the legs.
That's interesting as well, isn't it? Because of course, if we're holding on to water, is that why we sometimes find it difficult to be crying with other people, and we can only cry on our own?
Yeah.
Brilliant relationships, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, but they just hold on to everything, don't they?
Yes.
Until they go to the pub.
And then everything comes out.
Everything comes out. They lose their inhibitions.
Yeah.
And get a bit wild.
Yeah. And quite often as well, actors have a lot of Nat Mure in them, don't they? So when they're acting, they're able to be somebody else. And when they're not acting, they're very reserved and insular and keeping their real identity very hidden.
Yeah, I think that's true. The melancholy streak is there, isn't it? But everybody has to express themselves, has to find a way to express themselves. Otherwise, I suppose we just kind of implode. And Nat Mure will find that way, won't it? Whether it's through acting or through drinking alcohol or through finding a particular group of friends. I knew a lady who was in her family. She was very reserved, very prim and proper, had views about everything, how it should be done, and very disapproving, actually, lots of people. And after she died, the family found out that she used to do pottery, and when she was with her pottery class and they would go away on trips together, she was apparently the life and soul of the party.
Really?
A completely different person that you wouldn't recognize if you were a member of her family. So I think that is very, very Nat Mure. It's like they'll keep that compartment where they can let it all hang out, but nobody else would know about it. Very private people.
Yes.
They're very selective about what they show to whom.
Yes, of course. Yes, there's so many different aspects to consider, aren't there? Just going back to what you were saying about the mouth as well and the teeth. And then, of course, we've got so much dryness, haven't we?
Yeah.
With Nat Mure. And we've got dry skin. We've got dry lips. We've got
cold
mouth
sores.
ulcers.
Big and cold sores.
Yeah.
That are brought on by the sun.
Yes.
Yeah. So people who go skiing and get cold sores will go to, hot countries and get cold sores in the sun. That Nat Mure will often clear it up.
Often help with that.
Yeah.
So many aspects of it. Brilliant. Such a brilliant remedy.
It is. It is. I certainly wouldn't be without it.
No. Now, a little bird tells me that you have recently been doing homeopathy at some of the music festivals.
That's right. The Travelling Homeopaths Collective, which is a charity here in England that's been going for over 30 years. And I've been with them for about 10 years now, because it's heaven for me. It brings my love of camping together with my love of homeopathy. And there we are in a field, in a lovely festival atmosphere, helping people with their acute ailments.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just great. I love it. And I have friends there that I've made over the years that I only ever see at festivals. And we do everything from the tiniest little folk festival in a little Derbyshire village to the biggest one here, which of course is Glastonbury, where I've just been and had a marvellous time and seen lots of people with lost voices and sunburn and sprained ankles. And
okay, so a whole mixture of first aid problems that they might encounter. So, and do they generally know about homeopathy before they enter the tent?
Some do. A huge number don't. They're just wandering by and they see us in the healing field, and we have a board outside saying listing the kind of acute ailments that we might treat. And so they just come in to see if they can get some help. And some things are very festival oriented, so people will get coughs and colds just from, if it's damp, just from camping, from being in a tent for a couple of nights. Some years a lot of dulcamara.
Oh, okay.
Colds, fevers, and then they're out shouting and screaming and generally having good times, so they lose their voices, especially if it's dusty like it was this year. If the sun's out, there's a lot of sunburn. So it can be anything, and in the same way as we do on the acute service with Homeopathy 24/7, people will come with problems that aren't actually acute, they're chronic. And so that's when we can explain that difference and refer them to a homeopath near them.
Oh, okay. That's useful. Yeah. So the opportunity just to talk about homeopathy, how it can help, and what actually, again, needs to be addressed. Rather than what's happening.
Some people just come in to find out more about homeopathy.
So do you get a chance to go around and listen to the music and in the festival?
We have a team of about 20, so we're able to be open in shifts, from 8 o'clock in the morning till midnight, but we only have to do one shift in a day, and then the rest of the time we're free to party.
Oh, amazing.
No, it's a wonderful thing. And it's a great mission, because the travelling homeopath's mission is to bring homeopathy to people, whether that's through festivals or through mobile clinics. So they're always fundraising for that.
Oh, that's really, really exciting, because of course we just need more people to know about the homeopathic choice and know that there is a choice. And then, of course, homeopathy can flourish around the world.
Absolutely. It's just spreading the word all the time, isn't it? And of course, the great thing about festivals is people are there for 2 or 3 days, 3 or 4 days, sometimes even longer. So they can come back and tell you, either it got better or it didn't. We like to hear it got better, but if it didn't, then we can come up with an alternative. So it's great for that instant feedback for the homeopaths on what they're doing. So it's that's something that you don't always get, that immediate response.
You're right. And that's lovely. The fact that it's been going for 30 years as well shows that it's really working in that environment. Wonderful experience. Thank you so much for joining me, Sydommne. It's so lovely to talk to you and chat about homeopathy.
Isn't it just? We must do it again. Thank you, Mary.
Well, I really enjoyed my chat with Sydommne today, and I hope you did too. Next week, I'm going to be talking to Yagoda. Yagoda is a pharmacist turned homeopath. So she's going to be explaining all of the differences between pharmacy for Western medicines and pharmacy in homeopathic medicines. So I'm really looking forward to that conversation. I do hope you can join us. I look forward to seeing you there.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode and look forward to listening to our next one. Please don't forget to follow our podcast on your chosen channel, and please do leave us a review so we can continue to share homeopathy with as many people as possible. If you do have any questions, please do reach out to us on any of our social platforms mentioned in the show notes. We at Homeopathy 24/7 hope to empower you on your natural health journey.